tea parties are scheduled for April 15th, tax day. Biggies. Why, there's even going to be a tea party here where we live, Mr. Snerdley. In West Palm Beach, right across from the big courthouse over there. You got to have a big tea party in Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Atlanta. Well, they're all over the place. And yesterday, word somehow got out that Acorn and a bunch of Obamatrons are so upset by this that they are planning on infiltrating the tea parties to cause mayhem and unrest and violence. That Obamatrons from Acorn want there to be fights and all kinds of violence breaking out to make it look like that the people opposing the Obama administration are just a bunch of Looney Tunes. So Neil Cavuto yesterday had one of the organizers of the Sacramento Tea Party, Mark Meckler, and asked him about this infiltration and the threats. And Cavuto said, Mark, how seriously do you take these threats?
We don't take them seriously at all, and I'll tell you why. It's not that they don't exist. We expect people to attempt to infiltrate. The reality is this is a very broad-based grassroots movement. There is no leader at the top. There's no individual event that they could disturb that would cause us a problem nationwide. So also the people, we trust the grassroots. We know that the people are skeptical of anybody approaching them at these events, and we believe the people are going to handle it well. And in fact, we invite everybody to come to our events. We don't care whether they're from Acorn, the Huffington Post, Daily Cause. We want them all there.
Yes, and they'll all be there trying to cause trouble. Just imagine, folks, thousands of seminar callers. These are people who are going to show up with anti-Obama slogans. They're going to show up with, they're going to pro-Tea Party. That's what they're going to make themselves out to be. And they're actually going to start, they claim they're going to start trying to cause all kinds of trouble for the cameras. The organizers claim, we're not worried, we're going to outnumber them, they can't bring this about. But all it's going to take is two malcontents causing a problem with the right drive-by camera, and that'll be the only video anybody will see. The drive-bys are they're not reporting on this now, and they're not going to report on this as it happens. This just flies in the face of the notion they put forth that this is a country in unified enthrallment of the Obama administration. Next up was, let's see, John O'Hara, who's the organizer of the Chicago Tea Party. Mark Meckler, still on there from Sacramento. Cavuto says, John, if the malcontents from Acorn show up, something tells me they're not going to be sharing the same placards. Are you worried about that?
No, Neil, I'm not worried about it at all. If Acorn wants to send some of their paid pretend activists to show up, that's fine.
The people understand what these movements are about. The people who are involved understand that they're not racist, they're not fringe, they're not even partisan. I mean, these are events where we've got people across the board, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, libertarians, you name it, everybody's coming out to these events.
The real fringe group here, again, is these critics. The Acorn with their paid activists. It's a typical left-wing smear campaign with ad hominem attacks rather than getting at the real issues we're talking about.
So the organizers know that it's being talked about. They know that it's in the works. They know that Acorn and others are going to show up. I don't know how many of them are actually going to wear pro-Obama stuff. I think infiltration means you try to blend in. Taking it over would be another thing. But they would love to be able to create the impression that the Tea Party supporters, the anti-Obama nuts, are a bunch of violent, out-of-control, destructive, like Acorn really is. And Acorn knows how to cause trouble because it's their business. So we'll see. It's not. I'm glad to see that the organizers are not being off-put by this, and that they're welcoming Acorn out to become part of the festivities. Brian in Manchester, Vermont. Nice to have you with us, sir, on the EIB network. Hello.
Greetings for us from the People's Republic.
Thank you.
Russ, something no one ever talks about relative to normalizing trade with Cuba is the foreign claims of American citizens. Let's not forget when Castro took over, he nationalized all the real estate and all the private property in Cuba, thousands of which were owned by American citizens. Now, when
that's right. Phone companies, ITT, casinos, But he took, he even nationalized a bunch of stuff that was run by the mob.
Yeah. I mean, our family owned land that was for rice farming east of Havana. That was nationalized. There are thousands of Americans that have foreign claims to the State Department. Reagan and Carter came close to normalizing relations, but the big hang-up was how American citizens were going to be remunerated for the confiscated property.
Yeah, I know this is, in fact, this is a something that a lot of people are not informed about, but all of these people, either the Cuban exiles or Americans who own property there, they're correct me if I'm wrong, but there's been a plan at the State Department of Commerce for a long time where you can make a claim. I mean, you want to be reimbursed for your property if the embargo's lifted and the Castro brothers are sent packing. And it's going to be a huge legal backlog if and when this day ever happens.
We've had a claim in for almost 50 years.
You had a claim for almost, yeah, there was a claim for 50 years. And, of course, you're going to want that claim adjudicated one way or the other once the day comes where it can be.
Absolutely. I mean, we're using this property. I mean, we have eminent domain, but we also have, fair payment for confiscated property by the government. You don't have that in Cuba, and we're just sitting there waiting for our claims to be processed.
All right. So you're intimately involved in this. So what is your forecast? What do you think is going to happen, and when?
What I'm afraid is going to happen is that Obama administration is going to nationalize relations, and given their view on capitalism, what do they care? It's not their claim, so what do they care if American citizens get their money back for the property that was confiscated? I'm afraid that Obama's going to go in and just normalize relations with no consideration of that whatsoever.
Well, that's a pretty good guess, pretty good bet, but he's not going to lift the embargo anytime soon. He's going to lift travel restrictions and the amount of money that people here can send relatives who live in Cuba. But I don't see him lifting the embargo to the point that Cuba's considered someplace that capitalists can go and start redeveloping.
That may be, but I think any normalization of relations is going to involve some type of...
Exactly. If you normalize relations with the existing communist government, you are SOL.